The dawn of civilization. Primitive. Dangerous. Exciting. The handwriting is on the wall. If the human race is ever going to amount to anything, it needs
the most civilized caveman I have ever seen.
Look who's come out of his cave.
Hey everyone, this is James from Cave Dweller Music. Thanks for tuning in. I am with my co-host Brendan, and today we have Matthew Pay, who goes by the name HUBRISmusic on the podcast. Thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Cool. Thanks for having me, man.
Of course. For anyone who doesn't know your music, do you want to just maybe tell people a little bit about yourself and what type of thing you play and your background?
Instrument-wise, I play like guitar, piano, and music-wise, it's kind of like, you know, it's like kind of like rocky blues rock, folk rock, like Brendan was saying earlier. That kind of thing. It's prog rock kind of. Although, you know, we were chatting earlier. It's kind of prog rock. I want it to be prog rock, but it's not really.
Right. And you were saying before we started recording, you were heavily influenced to learn guitar because of Guns N' Roses.
Yeah. I could tell the whole story.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Well, actually, the first when I was a kid, I can't remember how old I was, but like when I say kid, I mean like maybe like I was probably like 9 or something like that. I used to have this little, I don't know how I got it, but I had like this plastic container of like singles that I'd collected. I'm not sure. I had like 5 singles in there. Back when there was like CD singles. I think do they still exist? Probably do.
No, I don't think so. I haven't seen one of those in a long time.
Well, I should have kept that because it's like a antique now, probably.
Yeah.
Relics.
In a museum.
Yeah. It's like getting Netflix in the mail.
Yeah. Back in the Blockbuster days.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Blockbuster was at the same time, and then the Netflix started doing that mail DVD thing, and that really hurt Blockbuster. And then as soon as streaming came, Blockbuster was.
I had this little thing of like CDs, and they were all singles that I picked out for some reason or whatever. I don't really know why I picked the singles I did, but like there was one on there. It was a Michael Jackson "Scream." He did like a duet with Janet Jackson. I don't know why I picked. Like I wasn't like a fan of like Michael Jackson or anything, but I just like the Scream. There's a Scream that he did on it that I really liked, so I kept it. Like you know, like so I liked it. And then I don't know. That was I know I said like Guns N' Roses before was the first band, but really it was that single. It got my attention, like music wise. Someone screaming on like in the middle of music kind of thing. I just really liked it, like the idea of it. And my mum had like 2 Guns N' Roses albums, Use Your Illusion 1 or 2, and then that kind of led to me. I love those albums. Like I probably listen to those albums like I don't know, but I could hum the solos in my head right now. I could air guitar the solos, like you know, every note. And I just love those albums. And actually, on one of the albums, Coma, Use Your Illusion 1, there's a sound of a horse. That just popped into my head because I thought that was really cool. There's a sound of a horse along with the guitar riff. That sounds really cool. It's like a horse neighing. Ideas like that, really, I liked. I forgot what I was talking about now. So Guns N' Roses was the band that kind of got me started, and then that led to. Then I went backwards to Led Zeppelin.
Nice. Yeah, I'm much more of a Zeppelin fan than a Roses fan personally, but I love Zeppelin.
Now I have to say I love those 2 albums, Guns N' Roses albums, but like the other ones, like Appetite for Destruction and all of that, it didn't. So this is my long-winded way of saying I'm not really a Guns N' Roses fan. I'm a fan of those 2 albums specifically.
I get that. Yeah, I get that. I'm like that with several bands. It's just like they.
Oh yeah,
one or
absolutely.
2 seminal albums.
Led Zeppelin led to
like
Tool. Because Tool did a cover of No Quarter at some point, and then I started talking about. I went into like Tool stuff.
Nice.
And it kind of went like that.
Brendan's a big Tool fan.
Yeah, I love Tool.
Yeah, I like a lot of their stuff as well.
Yeah, what do you think? Before I say anything, so Brendan, what do you think? I haven't really listened to I've listened to 1 or 2 tracks off the newer album.
I've listened to it. I listened to it a few times around already. I like it. You know, it's like it's not necessary. They're all long, kind of, proggy rock songs like you'd expect from Tool. And it's just it was a lot more mellow. There wasn't like a lot of
less punch.
There was a lot less punch to it, but I still really liked it a lot. It's psychedelic-y, fun goodness, and if you're a fan of Maynard's voice, you'll like it a lot. I think they all did a really good job. It just sucks that it took so long for him to friggin' do it.
I kind of think that the softer direction was because he'd been doing stuff with Pucifer for so long at that point.
Yep.
And it kind of like he tied in a little bit of the like Pucifer influence that he picked up, made it a little softer and a little more psyche.
Yes.
But I think it's really hard to actually judge the album objectively because the wait was so long that the hype built up so much that I don't think anything they put out would ever have met people's expectations.
Oh no, no. They would have had to put out like 10 albums,
Yeah. I feel like they shot themselves in the foot by holding off that long to put it out because they said that they actually have like 3 or 4 albums worth of material recorded.
I'm sure they do.
And they just weren't completely happy with it, so they delayed it until they got to this point. So I'm like, just drop the other albums. Honestly, at this point, it'll only be beneficial for you.
Well, they have like a lawsuit pending with artist or something, or I don't know. I think something like that holding them up too.
Okay,
I feel like I think that was happening.
But Matt, have you listened to Pucifer?
I listened to I have done. I'm just not sure what. Like V is for Vagina. That's one of the albums, I think.
Yeah. Yep. They have. There's one particular one that I always come back to on like a regular basis called Conditions of My Parole.
Yeah.
I love that album. It's the best thing they've done in my opinion. It's kind of cool because it's like a fusion between Tool and 9 Inch Nails because that's the other members from 9 Inch Nails.
Cool.
And then they kind of just took their two influences and then did something different to both.
Oh, by the way, Tool led to 9 Inch Nails as well. I got more.
Right.
I was probably more into, But Pucifer is a band that like, I think like when I heard them, the first because one of my mates is into Pucifer.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing it all the time. But when I heard it for the first time, I was like,
okay,
and it kind of like, and it wasn't Tool, so I kind of like just let it go. I just thought I like the voice, like I like Maynard's voice, but like
music wasn't doing it at the time.
Yeah, I think I was just being a bit too like harsh. No, I wasn't like so. I never thought it was like bad, but it just wasn't Tool, so I didn't listen to it, kind of thing.
I think for me it was good because like when I came across Pucifer, I'd kind of taken a step away from Tool for a while. So it's like I wasn't that fresh Tool in my mind compared to it, so it was easier to like look at it objectively, I guess. But 9 Inch Nails, what do you like from them?
I just like what Trent Reznor's done. Like
I know their like earlier stuff.
Yeah, I'm not so like I'm not a fan. Like I'm not really a fan of anyone. Two of my mates that we're kind of setting up a band. Well, we are. We're setting up a band. I shouldn't say kind of. We are setting up a band.
Nice.
But those two guys, they know like everything about music. Like they know like the dates of the albums, the history behind the albums. They know everything. I'm like, so when I say I'm like a fan, I'm not a fan in that sense. Like I don't know all the kind of dates and stuff.
Okay.
Or that sometimes I don't know the order of the albums and things like that. So just to put that out there.
That's totally fine. You just appreciate the music.
Yeah, like Use Your Illusions 1 or 2. I had no idea where that was in the Guns N' Roses. Just using that as an example. But
right.
Trent Reznor, he did like the when I say I like where he did the Doom soundtrack, the original Doom soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
I think he did Quake as well.
Oh, really?
I think he did.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
Quake, yeah.
I don't know. I just like the fact that he's willing. He didn't really give a like. I appreciate the fact that he's someone that will chuck like piano, guitar, like really dirty electronic sounding, like sounds that are like verge on sometimes being unpleasant, but for some reason they're not.
Yes.
Yeah, soundscapes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's not afraid to move out of like any genre boundaries. He'll kind of just do whatever he thinks feels right for that track, which is really cool.
Mhm.
He's actually like the cool thing about him is he's branched out so much as well since Nine Inch Nails. Like he did the soundtrack for that Disney movie Soul, which was all
Really?
about yeah, that's him, and it's all about jazz, which is really cool. And he put that together, and then he actually produced. I'm not sure if you know the pop singer Halsey.
It rings a bell.
She does like alternative pop, like a little bit grungy. But she's like on the charts type thing, and he produced her latest album. But you can like it's kind of cool because she brings like the pop sensibilities into it, but then it's like the soundtrack in the background. You can definitely tell that Trent Reznor made it. So if you haven't checked that album out, it's actually pretty cool. I know a lot of dudes that like into metal that kind of thought it was a cool album.
Halsey. Does she have like blonde hair? And does she
Yes.
look kind of like, and she looks
Yep.
kind of sweet.
Yeah.
Does she have like kind of like Britney Spears type choruses followed by like death metal? No. It's like almost like Britney Spears type choruses, verses followed by like death metal choruses. It's something like that.
She's it's like yeah, it's got like the pop catchiness in the choruses, and then the there's like bits in there that are like kind of like grunge rock. It's like between the two genres, maybe a little bit of like punk influence in there. But the latest album was called If I Can't Have Love, I Want Power, and that's the one that he worked on. If you want to check that out, it's actually a pretty cool listen.
Okay. I'm gonna take notes.
Okay, yeah, she does like a concept album about pregnancy and
Oh,
childbirth.
man,
Interesting.
I want to hear that. What was the name of it?
If I can't have love, I want power. Because I'm not like super big into that style of music, but like that album kind of stood out to me as being really interesting. Because it's not just Trent, it's also Atticus Ross from Nine Inch Nails as well. So there's two members of Nine Inch Nails that worked on it. So ended up shifting towards the folk blues sound. Like where does that influence come from? Who kind of inspired you in that aspect of the folk and
I
blues
can think of a
influences?
lot of ways that I would like to answer that question.
Sure. Take as much time as you want.
It was got like I took a long time, like just music in general. I like fought against it for a long time before I accepted that it was like a kind of a blessing and a curse. It was like I couldn't turn my back on it. And the sound thing is the same kind of idea. I wanted to be like prog rock. I wanted to be making massive lateralis type albums. Every album I wanted to be like lateralis mixed with like Led Zeppelin in there or something like that. You know, I don't know. Huge guitar solos. You know, I managed like this. I had this idea of like epicness that every song would be epic or something like that. And I wanted like this, you know, I wanted every song to be like an epic, blow people away type thing. But whenever I put the riffs together and stuff, it would always come out like kind of like blues folky type thing. And then like Truck, the song Truck, I think is kind of a good example of that because it's like if a whole band was playing it, it might be a bit like, I don't know, it's got like some weird dissonant solo thing in it kind of thing. And it changes at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still like bluesy, rocky type thing. So I guess what I'm trying to say, it's just what happened. Like whenever I write a song, it's all like lyrically and musically, it's never about myself. It's always like third person. Every now and again, no, I can't say it's never about myself. Like every now and again, it's about like something very recent, like an argument or something like that. Every now and again, but the ones I enjoy writing, like Truck, they're about like it's like a story told third person about or a message or something like that. Whenever I write something, it always ends up like that. It always ends up sounding like a cowboy talking about like, you know, I'm out on the road or you know, like Nick Cave kind of like
Love Nick Cave.
Yeah. He's someone I need to get into more. But like that, I don't know. It always seems to end up like a third person telling a story, and it comes out kind of like I would describe it as like cowboyish. I don't know. Truck's not cowboyish, but like I think other songs are kind of cowboy.
Western, like old school Western.
The Man. No, I can't even give you a good example really. But like if I had the lyrics here in front of me, I could probably find some lyrics that sounded like, you know, kind of westerny in a way, like telling a story. Yeah, but I don't know. There's other stuff. as well. Like, yeah, like the music itself, I want it to tell a story. I think that's something that, like, I want the music to reflect the lyrics directly, like classical music. But let's say
Have a
like
feeling.
the reason, like Bach, for example, or Mozart, and I'm not no massive expert or anything. This is just like my kind of little take on it. The reason they're geniuses is because they, like, you know, like music is kind. Tell me if I'm going off on a tangent, by the way, because I feel like I'm
No,
going
you're
off.
fine. Go ahead.
Um, I feel like I'm way off. I'm in the mountains. They're geniuses because, like, music theory, music in general, or the study of music, is kind of like the study of the human mind, and
Right.
how it reacts to sounds. Like, one sound follows another, it makes you sad. Why? Kind of thing. Like Bach and Mozart and whoever else, like I think they were geniuses because they had complete control over the listener. They could tell a story through music, whatever that story might be. You can picture the little elf jumping up and down, or you can picture like the sad ballerina losing her shoe, or whatever it is whatever story they're trying to tell. They have complete control over you. They make you cry, then they'll make you happy when they want to make you happy. And then they'll make you cry again. And then they'll make you think it's finished, and they'll keep going, and then they'll finish, you know, or something like that. They have you on the edge of your seat, musically and emotionally. I want the music to kind of. I'm not saying I've achieved that, but I want the music to reflect the story.
That.
Yeah, that's good storytelling, and that's what makes like Outlaw Country, that old country that like Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson and stuff used to write, so impactful. Because those guys are just masters of telling a story, and that's what makes it so fascinating, captivating.
Johnny Cash, he lived it as well.
He definitely did. Yeah. He embodied everything he wrote about. Have you listened to a new artist called Orville Peck?
Orville Peck? No, I haven't.
Highly recommend checking him out. He's absolutely amazing. He's a new guy. He's originally from South Africa, and then he moved to Canada and got into the country scene. And he makes what I guess you can call it alternative country. But he's like a perfect fusion of Johnny Cash, Elvis Presley, and David Bowie. And he's like, so he has like the outlaw country thing. He's got like a mask that he always wears to hide his identity, like one of those old like bandito masks. And then he's got like an Elvis style voice, like really powerful Elvis voice, but his music's like written like Johnny Cash. And absolutely kill it. Definitely worth checking out. I saw him live, like mind blowing. He has 2 albums out, both worth listening to. But the second one's a little darker, a little more mature than the first. And then the other thing is he's openly gay, which is unusual in the country world, and a lot of his lyrics are about his sexuality as well, which is an interesting change for country music.
Right. You can't, everything about that, like even the mask. When you said he wears like a mask, like a bandito, I wrote his name down at that point.
No, he's very cool. I think you'll definitely like it, given what you were saying before.
Orville Peck.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll check it. It's another one on the list.
So what's some music that you've been listening to lately? Like, what are some things that you've been enjoying? Anything new that's popped out and stood out to you?
Last thing I listened to was I always get his name wrong. It's Richard Dawson. There's Richard Dawkins, the writer.
Yes, Dawkins is the writer. Yep.
So it's Richard Dawson. He's I would recommend. I think I would recommend him. I think he's very good. He writes, like, he uses the same guitar that he's like a northern guy. I don't know, like in northern England. I don't know, maybe. Do you know like that kind of do you know the northern England kind of like accent?
Yes, yeah, I do.
He kind of sings with that. He's from northern England. I'm not sure where, but
okay.
He's definitely
Newcastle.
I
think I just looked him up. I want to make sure I got the right guy.
Oh yeah, it could be Newcastle. Yeah. Actually, I can. But you can hear it in his voice though. He has like kind of like I don't know, like a tribal type of thing. His songs sound like very kind of traditional, almost like traditional, like I don't know, like Old Lang Syne or something like that.
Uh-huh.
That's kind of like a traditional song.
Yes.
His songs kind of sound like that, but with like all this other artistic stuff chucked in, like massively expanded upon. And his lyrics are amazing. It's like poetry. It's probably not for everyone, which is why he's not massive. But there's a song called, or there's an album called Magic Bridge. But definitely, that's what I've been listening to. And it's about, the song's about, like, it's depressing, but it's about getting old and dying, and like crossing over into the next life. I think that's the Magic Bridge. But the lyrics are friggin' amazing. A galleon of leaves. No, what is it? Anyway, like, so the lyrics are like amazing to that song. A magic bridge building through the silence. It's something like that. Very, very. All of his songs are like really well written, like lyrically. And he plays this guitar that he's been playing since he was like, I can't remember exactly, but I think it was like he's had the same guitar since he was like 13 or something.
That's awesome.
But Richard Dawson, he's really good.
Nice. What can you kind of tell us about the London scene that you're involved in? Is like, are there any musicians there that we should be looking at, checking out, paying attention to?
Well, I'm living, like I'm in London, and as you know, and there's the next gig coming up. I don't really like. It's weird, but I don't really speak to musicians that much. I kind of do, and I kind of don't.
Okay.
I can't. I wish I could recommend people, but not for any bad reason. I can't think of anyone to recommend right now.
That's totally fine. No problem.
I can think of people who are gigging around London and like in Camden and stuff like that. But I don't know them well enough to like say whether the music's good. There's the Healthy Junkies. You give them a shout out. They don't really need a shout out because they're much bigger than me. But Healthy Junkies are good. It's kind of like punk rock type stuff. The Heavy North as well. They're good.
What type of stuff do they play?
It's like very. It's kind of like Led Zeppelin. It's like straight down. Yeah,
classic rock.
Yeah, that's it. It's classic. I would describe it as classic rock.
Nice. There's kind of like a revival of that a little bit lately, which is nice to see. Like more bands coming through with that like sort of old school sound. I mean, everyone likes to, for some reason, I'm not completely sure why, give shit to Greta Van Fleet.
That's weird that I had that name popped into my head. I was trying to think, oh man, what's the name of that band? I was going to ask you, what do you think of, and then you said it.
Well, this is probably a really unpopular opinion, and I'm probably going to get some heat for saying this, but I've said this to people, and I'll say it on the podcast. I find it really ironic the number of people that will say, well, they're a Led Zeppelin ripoff, that's lame, but then will absolutely praise bands that literally just play the exact same thing as Black Sabbath. Like,
it's just not their style.
Yeah, it's just a double standard. It's like, if it's fine to just rip off Sabbath riffs constantly, then I don't see why it's an issue for them to rip off Zeppelin. I mean, I'm not saying that like I'm not saying I completely disagree that they are like a clone of another band, but it's like you have to look at it objectively because so much of the doom and stoner scene is literally just playing copies of Black Sabbath and Sleep. So I mean, that's like it is what it is. I think that they are pretty talented. I think the dude's got a good voice for what he does. Like I'm not going to put on the album and listen to it or like intentionally, but if it comes on, I'll be like, yeah, okay, that's pretty good. I think it's good classic rock.
Yeah. Like Mike, the guy I'm in the band with, like we're setting stuff up. He's that's not me dropping a hint, by the way. There's nothing big going on. I'm not like trying to get anything in there. That's the only way I can think to say it. He's a big. It was him that told me about Greta Van Fleet, so I listened to them. He just knew that I was into Led Zeppelin. And the first, actually, I can't remember the name of the song. Like I like the songs. I listened to the songs a lot, So I did like the songs, but I couldn't get it out of my head. The singer sounds to me like almost like he's about like if you did like a voice match, if you did an impression of Robert Plant, it couldn't be any better, you know.
Right.
And
Right. Spot on. Exactly.
yeah, but I mean, like I can hear that it's a little bit. He might even be better than Robert Plant because he has like a little bit of gravel to his voice at points.
I think
know.
I think what I would like to see from them is to kind of like branch out to their own sort of take on it. I mean, you know what I mean? Like take what they have as the foundation, but then sort of expand it out to something that's more independent and unique. Because a lot of bands sort of start with that like sort of I guess worship quality, but then they kind of build it into something that's their own. And I'd love to see where they go if they choose to do that.
Well, one issue I do have with them, two things I would say about Greta Van Fleet that make Led Zeppelin the superior band.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, I think, and you might have listened to a lot more stuff than me, but what I did listen to, and I wish I could remember what the names of the songs were, but they do that thing in music where you sit on a riff and repeat. There's some songs that do that a lot, like where they sit on a riff or like a melody or
too much repetition.
Yeah, and it's them saying, "Remember me, remember me, remember me, remember me." Walk away humming, tell your friends. It's too like I don't like. Like
okay, that's fair enough. I agree.
Led Zeppelin, I don't think they gave a crap about any of that.
Right, really. Exactly. Mm.
And the other thing was, I saw an interview with the lead singer where somebody directly asked him, like, you know, so who are your influences? And tell me if I got this wrong. But maybe I'm misremembering this. But they asked him what his influences were, and he listed off a bunch of bands, and the interviewer said, "Oh, but what about Led Zeppelin?" And the guy said something along the lines of like, "Who's Led Zeppelin?"
No, he's playing it down 100% because he doesn't want to get compared to them so much. I think he's trying to break that that connection. Yeah, that's definitely like him not being completely honest there.
If it's that, I can understand it. But
I think he's trying to downplay it because I think they've gotten so much flack for being a ripoff of them that he's trying to distance the band as much as he can from it. There's no way that he doesn't know who Zeppelin is, considering that like they are exactly like a worship band of Zeppelin. Like they definitely took influence from them. There's no way.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't think of it like that. Yeah.
So I actually saw I got some free tickets to a show in town here to see a Led Zeppelin cover band called like I think it was Led Zepp again or something like that.
I've seen Get the Lead Out.
There's so many. So many. And instrumentally they were like nailing it, but then like the vocalist just could not hit those high notes that Plant does. And it's like no judgment because you have to have a really unique voice to be able to hit that consistently. It's not easy. It's like a rare quality, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's what separates a lot of those cover bands from the originals. They can't hit those notes and they don't have the power behind the vocals.
Yeah.
Brendan, did I send you that poster for that international tour of cover bands?
Yes.
That is the weirdest thing I have ever seen. So Matt, there's this poster from Australia for this upcoming tour, and it's a Pantera cover band touring Australia with support from a Metallica cover band. And what was the other one? So it's the Pantera by Demons Be Driven cover tour with Tool tribute band and a Metallica tribute band.
It sounds awesome.
Yeah, I think it would be a fun time. I didn't realize that kind of thing happened. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, no, I've never heard of anything like that. I wonder how they I wonder how they do.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be interesting to see. I think they do in New Zealand first, and then I think they're going over to Australia, something like that. But I understand the timing because Pantera is doing that reunion tour now, which is why they're jumping on that. It's a good chance to kind of get the attention.
Yeah,
makes sense right now.
Yeah.
Brendan, I know you have some sort of fun questions that you wanted to get to. I saw that you launched into those.
Oh, sure. Well, we always like talking about some foods and stuff, and you being from London, where are we going to be getting some Sunday roast?
You can get like I love Sunday roast, man. Sunday roast, and I put like any. Well, where would I recommend personally?
Yeah.
You could come to my house.
Nice.
No, I don't know. Like, if you find a nice pub, I wouldn't go to. I don't know if you have these in like America, like Weatherspoons and stuff like that. Don't know if you have those in like.
No,
That doesn't sound familiar.
It might be like a. I don't know if it's just in. Maybe it's like a British thing. I don't know. But Weatherspoon, I wouldn't go to like a chain. Probably
Right.
The reason I wouldn't go to a chain is because I don't know if they do this in America, but like in the chains, they have these things. I know this because I used to work in a pub and they like vacuum pack the meal. Like they get sent out, so all the meals are like standard, and they vacuum pack the meal. And it's kind of like, it's not homemade. It's just like a vacuum pack thing. It's just like they chuck them out, kind of standard.
Right.
If you go to like a smaller, nice pub, and by nice, I just mean like, like we were talking about bad parts of town. But so when I say like nice, I just mean like you can kind of like, if your spider sense is going off, like when you walk in, that's not a good place. Don't go there. Go to a place that looks kind of like nice and homely and stuff. And I can if it's in England on a Sunday, pubs will definitely be giving you some. They'll have you to order. You just go in any place like that, and it will be decent. I could recommend specific pubs. 100% it would give away where I live because they're literally because the two places I would recommend it won't take a genius. You just crisscross where those two pubs like equal distance from these two pubs. I just go one then the other.
Yeah, nice.
But any nice like non-chain British pub or any whatever, any pub like that's not, I would say, not a chain, and it is nice in the way it looks, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it looks like it would be pretty good to eat. And then obviously probably the same queue there, but the bangers and mash. You gonna get those at a pub or like a lot of restaurants serving that?
Actually, I could recommend. I thought you were going to ask me about fish and chips for some reason.
No, come on, that's everybody makes that.
I could recommend for bangers and mash or fish and chips.
With some like onion gravy. I want like
nice. Brown malt vinegar.
I can recommend. There's a place. It's called the Blue Ocean.
All right.
And I might double check that in a minute. Actually, I'm 90% sure it's called the Blue Ocean or just Blue Ocean, and it's the best. Supposedly, I've eaten there. It's not like it's very, very good. Like the portions are big, and like if you want to get fish and chips, like the portions are like massive, and the fish tastes awesome. And bangers and mash, you can order that. It tastes awesome. Onion gravy, I'm sure they will. I've not had it, but I'm sure it's there. I'm sure it'll be there if they.
Yeah.
And vinegar, 100% more vinegar. That's going to be there. That's definitely there. But yeah, Blue Ocean. There's quite a few of them around London. They're very good.
Yeah. And then I always laugh about like some of the names of like foods everywhere across the world. But then you have this here.
I know what you're gonna say.
The spotted dick.
Yeah, I know you're gonna say that. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No. I was gonna say, is it good? Because it doesn't sound so good.
Spotted dick, like Let me just make sure because I get this. There's another one called Toad in the Hole.
Oh yeah, that's another one too. Yeah, there was I think Toad in the Hole is meat.
These ones I always get these mixed up. I'll just look up images. Oh yeah, it's right. Spotted Dick. It's like a cake thing. Maybe I'm sure I must have had that.
It looks good. It doesn't sound good, but it looks good.
Yeah. I don't know who thought to call it Spotted Dick. Not a.
Oh, it's so funny. Oh man. And then obviously like we're eating all that food. We're like what's some good beers that are made around there?
Camden Pale Ale that's one of my favorites, which you'd have to go, that's Camden, but they sell it all over the place. Oh man. They call them. You could go if you went to Camden or a couple of years ago I would have said like Shoreditch or something. But Shoreditch has got all like commercial now. Like it's got like all the like Shoreditch used to be like kind of like a hippie place, and you could get all these cool like beers and stuff.
Gentrified now.
It's good. It's like still hippified, but it's all like kind of fashionable hippies, like people.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's people with loads of money that dress like hippies.
Oh yeah, we had that happen in a place called Byron Bay in Australia. You might have heard of it. It's kind of famous location. Used to be like this little hippie commune. So you go there and there'd be like people playing like didgeridoos with dreadlocks and like juggling and stuff. Like just a lot of weed, a lot of art and a lot of surfers. And now it wasn't even that long ago. I used to go there with my friends, and now it's boutique stores and like you said, fashionable hippies in quotation marks. Yeah,
hipsters.
Yeah, very much hipsters branding themselves as hippies.
Yeah, yep, that's Shoreditch now. Unfortunately, the old one, it kind of, it's like that, like Byron Bay. Camden's still got Camden's still cool. It's some things have changed. Like like you have to pay to busk now. Like you used to be able to go on the street and just busk.
Huh.
And because of that, you would get like lots of like just really eccentric people like just setting up. They'd start playing drums or whatever. But now, well, I'm not sure. I think you have to pay to busk now in Camden. You need to pay for like a spot because it's so touristy.
Get like a permit.
Yeah, you need. Yeah. It's like applying for a job.
Right. Yeah, I want to be here at this time and bang on my drum and play my guitar.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's the same on the underground as well. Have you guys been to England?
I have not.
I'll be in London for the first time ever in June.
June.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I know we're just talking for the first time now, but if you need someone if you want someone to get drunk with, just let me know.
Always looking for that. Yeah, definitely. Sounds good.
Just let me know. I'm serious as well.
Like, take me for a Sunday roast.
Go for a nice pint.
Sounds good.
You guys gotta check Slaughterhouse Brewery.
Slaughterhouse Brewery.
It's in Warwick.
Oh,
that's wild too. And like the drinking age is 18. And like I just looked at their website. I'm like, wait, 18? That's funny.
Rest of the world.
Yep. Right. Yeah. Well, I think it was 18-year-olds couldn't handle their shit and were crashing cars all the time. Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, because what's the drinking age in
America? 21 in America.
It's 18 in New Zealand and Australia.
And same in England.
In France, I'm pretty sure it's 16.
Really?
I think so. I think that. Let me see.
It's probably drinking wine with the family at the table of the restaurant, stuff like that.
Just drunk kids.
Oh, they changed it in 2009, I guess. Until 2009, it was legal for 16-year-olds to drink cider, wine, and beer, but not spirits. But now it's 18 for everything.
Probably a good thing.
Yeah. But I have noticed that like outside, so the UK, Australia, New Zealand, and the US all have like a binge drinking culture. Um,
Hmm.
but I've noticed that like a lot of other countries, especially like those European countries, have a really different attitude towards alcohol for the most part. Like it's much
Yeah,
more of like alcohol is just part of your everyday life type thing,
yeah,
as opposed to like going out on a Saturday and just getting obliterated.
yeah, exactly. In front, I've French friends. Actually, I went to a French. Well, it's not like the people who hosted it were like it was like just a get together, and the people who hosted it were French,
Hmm.
and I would say like, well, it's exactly what you said. Like, I think that it's more about like the taste with food or something.
And the
Like
social
it's more
aspect.
and the social aspect, yeah.
Hmm.
Whereas like in England, you got like in England, we'll talk about, and maybe it's the same, you know, for you. But like in England, we'll talk about like, oh man, I'm gonna go out tonight and I'm gonna get absolutely like, we'd say like shit faced. That's what we'd
Yeah,
say.
we have that
But
Yeah, we
term
say
too.
that too. Yeah, yeah. That's shit
like it,
face. It depends, I guess, who you're like hanging out with too. Because like
Right.
the lingos all change.
Yeah, like Brendan and I, we like when we hung out, we would drink, but we never got like like fucked up.
No.
yeah,
Well, we wanted to be awake all day and make it walk back home.
It's true. Yeah, we've only actually met once, and it was at a music festival. So we had like 4 days in a row of drinking together, so we kind of paced ourselves.
Yeah, we were pretty good. I mean, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
and we had like the beginning of the day was always the toughest because we were like, all right, well, we want to go in kind of early, but we also don't want to like pay festival prices for beer, So it was like, do we drink these at 11 a.m.? Sure, we do, but then,
yeah. Then slowing
yeah,
down for a bit.
yeah. Oh yeah, we always had like a good afternoon, like evening where we like kind of not drink and try and smell some foods and that catch up on waters. We were pretty good. We
Yeah,
paced ourselves.
I feel like that's the thing that like always gets people is like not eating enough food, not drinking enough water while they're drinking. Like
Hmm.
yeah,
if you do that, you can come out of it okay.
yeah. If you don't, if you just blast it,
Right,
I know.
right. Or mixing the
Oh yeah,
beer and
mixing
hard
alcohols.
liquors, like
Yeah.
those that can be
Yeah.
the worst.
I've got a technique actually. This has just popped into my head. Well, oh yeah, well, like at a festival, I went to Wilderness Festival. This is like 3 years ago or something, or whenever it was. We were we were with a bunch of friends, and I've got like whenever I go to a festival, I always go off on my own for at least like one of the days. So I'll go off on my own, and I'll just find somewhere and I'll just like drink. I'll sit somewhere and I'll just drink on my own. I don't know why I do that. I just like to do.
Making
For
new
like a
friends, or just make
yeah,
time
yeah.
for
I don't
yourself.
even speak to anyone. I just sit there and just just like a wilderness festival. There's a hammock. Like there's this every year they have like a it's a Heineken tent and they have hammocks outside and stuff like that. So you just go lay in the hammock, just get drunk, just sit there and get drunk. I would never do like I wouldn't sit at home and get drunk normally, but like for some reason out there, outside in the sun and all that sort of stuff is nice. People
Oh
around,
yeah.
and anyway, I was just like super hammered, and my friends came and found me. I couldn't even like walk. I was just like completely drunk off my face, but I was happy. And after I got back to the tent, I saw this thing on the internet. But have you ever heard of the Iceman? Well, he's I think they call him the Iceman. He's like a Danish guy, Icelandic guy, or something like that. And he has like a breathing technique. He swims in like ice cold water and
Yes,
stuff.
yes, I know him. Yep,
Oh,
crazy. Yes.
And I literally I saw like I think it was Vice. I think it was like a Vice documentary, and he explains like this breathing technique he's got, and you just like breathe in as much as you possibly can to your full, hold it for 10 seconds, and then breathe out very very slowly, and then just when you've completely cleared your lungs, just before you keep you keep some of it in, and then you repeat the process until you're completely full. And after about like 5-10 minutes, you're basically kind of high on oxygen almost.
Huh.
yeah.
And I've got friends with me that can back this up, right? I tried this for I don't know why it was in my head, but I was laying down, I was feeling like crap, head spinning and all that sort of stuff. And I did this breathing technique because I figured like the oxygen would burn off the alcohol. And my friend said that after I did this breathing thing, like my eyes were like, like I had like drunk eyes, like I was really drunk. And she said my pupils like went back to normal or something like that after I did this, and I felt better after I did this. It's just that's a weird story out of kind of nowhere, but
Interesting though.
yeah, if you try that, if you ever get like completely hammered, like if it ever happens, like if it creeps up on you,
Yeah.
Like you have 2 pints or something, and then you're chatting away, and you have a third without thinking about it or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you keep going, whatever.
On a roll.
If you're on a roll, try that
Yeah.
breathing thing. It works. It's a weird thing. Yeah, weird thing. But it was from that Danish guy or Icelandic guy. And if you just do it normally, it makes you feel high. You get like loads of energy. Yeah, you feel like a buzz in your head. You could probably do it now for like a minute, 2 minutes. You'd feel like a buzz in your head. It's really weird. Like all this oxygen going in because I just remember. Sorry,
Brendan,
yeah.
I just noticed we're coming up on time actually. I think we actually be over, but that's okay. Do you have any more of your questions you want to ask, or are you good?
Well, I was gonna actually ask. You mentioned earlier about being a music teacher. Who got you inspired to become a teacher?
Well, actually, when I first, I don't want to sound like elitist or anything, but I think like good teachers are kind of born because it's like a personality. Some of us are naturally, I don't know, warriors. Some of us are naturally like farmers. I don't know. I'm just chucking stuff out. We're naturally geared towards something like builders or, I'm just using like broad categories to do with, that slot in with society or whatever.
Sure.
And some of us have like a mindset, like I would be a terrible builder because I'm not practical in any way. But for some reason I can I'm patient and I have like the kind of like personality required to teach, so that I just like fell into it. I never wanted to be a teacher, but I don't think I felt like I was saying before, like music is kind of like a blessing and a curse. The teaching was my way of like bringing. It's not like I had like this passion. I have to admit, I didn't have a passion. My passion was like music.
Right.
Teaching was a way to pay the bills,
Mm-hmm.
and I've grown to love it. I really love it.
That's great.
That's my best. I never aspired to kind of teach or anything. I just started doing it, and I did some work experience in schools, and I thought actually I see some examples, not many, very few examples of like bad teachers. And I literally mean like one or two, like maybe like 5% of the teachers that I came in contact with. I just want to make that clear because my cousin's a teacher. I'm not talking about anyone I know closely.
My mom's a teacher as well, actually.
There's like so many good teachers. I can just, there was a few examples that I thought I don't want to be like that kind of thing.
Right.
Not because they were terrible, but there were certain things they did that I thought was a bit whatever, yeah. And I just kind of like, I never wanted to work. I don't work in a school. I work privately.
Okay.
I think if I worked in a school, it might kind of kill it a little bit because it's the way I have friends that are teachers and my cousin's a teacher and stuff like that.
Right. Right.
It's a hard job.
A very hard and underpaid and underappreciated job too.
Yes, we are underappreciated. No, I'm joking. I'm not. I'm all right. I can't say I am, but yeah.
Cool. I'll ask my final question then.
Yeah.
Well, I have two actually. So the second to last one is an ambush question I ask everyone. Which, if you listen to the podcast, you probably know what I'm going to say already. But if you were trapped on a desert island with a solar-powered Discman and only 3 CDs to listen to, what would those 3 CDs be?
3, I'd probably take like Led Zeppelin 4. Maybe.
Okay.
That's kind of an easy one. And maybe I would take like Use Illusions, either 1 or 2.
Okay.
And Lateralis. I would probably say that.
Nice.
It was 3.
It's a solid 3. Awesome. Well, the last question I have for you then is, where can people find your music to listen to, and where can they follow you?
And Twitter, Hubris. If you type in HUBRIsmusic, like you find me on Twitter, Instagram. But if you want, if you're interested in like on Instagram, I kind of post bits and bobs, but probably the YouTube HUBRIsmusic, updates on Twitter and stuff like that. I'm on Instagram, Spotify.
Great.
Nice.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate you taking the time. It was great chatting to you. And if you ever put out a full-length album or something, we'd love to have you back on to chat about that too.
Soon. Let's go. What should I say now?
You can
The
say it,
tracks
yeah.
I'm releasing now are because I was kind of advised not to release I want to release an album kind of thing. The tracks I'm releasing now are like, I'm kind of what's the word? I'm kind of like releasing an album bit by bit, track by track.
Right. It's a different method of release. I've seen it. It's become quite popular now.
Yeah. I didn't say that officially kind of thing. I never like announced that officially, but that's kind of what I'm doing. So all the tracks now are from an album called Rhythm of the Whip, which is
Awesome.
like,
when's that set for release?
The last track I just released it on Bandcamp. It's called Bones, and then the next there's 3 more tracks to go, and then it's complete. Basically, everything's finished. It's just I'm kind of like stringing it out so I can do like promotion, whatever promotion I can do.
Oh, very nice. Well, we'll definitely keep an eye out for that then. Thank you for letting us know. And thank you to anyone listening at home for tuning in, and tune in next week. We'll have another guest.